Hello, beautiful souls. Victoria Amador here from Soul Healing Tribe. And today I want to talk about schizophrenia. This is a very special topic for me because I've been dealing with trying to understand really what happens to those people that develop this challenge, this mental illness. And the deeper that I have gone through it, the more things just come this way. So, and every time that I try to record lately, I feel like I cannot get the words out. So please be patient with me today because I'm going to try to do as quick as possible. I just want to give you my opinion about what happens to those people that can see. I don't believe necessarily that something is wrong with these people. Eventually, I think the damage for not having the proper integration and the resources to be able to understand what's going on within, eventually there is damage to the brain because we start with the different levels, and eventually by the time that it gets to the core physical of our body, there are consequences. So I'm not saying that, my opinion is not that schizophrenia is not real, but what I want people to understand today, especially if you have family or friends that have people that have schizophrenia in their families, I want you to contemplate that some of these people are very gifted. They have a lot of abilities that can help them penetrate different planes of existence and see things that some other people will not be able to see. Sometimes they can sense energies, not only energies of disembodied energies, but they can also send other realities. And some of those realities it does include the ET's interference, because what you're going to hear a lot of people that have schizophrenia say is that they feel that they've been monitored. So, I've been doing a lot of work and a lot of research and a lot of deep diving into what is going on with the ET interference. I remember doing an interview with Mark where I felt like I couldn't say a lot of things that I wanted to say, and sometimes I had to like kind of avoid the question by saying something else and maybe even lying. I have to look at that interview to see if there were some things that I said that maybe were half the truth. It wasn't that I was lying, it's just that I was covering half the truth because I didn't feel like I wanted to. There is a fear there of being judged. Fear that if I say everything that I know, everything that I feel to be true for me, that other people are going to take it and blow it away. And there is a lot of negativity even in ATR practices where people will distort versions of the reality. And I think to avoid being attacked by some of the ATR groups, I learned to be very quiet and not say everything that I feel, everything that I know. It happened to me early on in a 21 Divisions Facebook group where I was giving information about and asking questions about the Nephilims and about some other things that I believe are very intertwined with what we do in 21 Divisions. And it wasn't taken well at all. So I learned back in, I don't know, maybe 2019, 2020, that it was not a good idea to be open about some of these things. So when I started diving deeper into what is the mental disorders about, I believe it was around 2015 or so when I started going deeper into like, what if some of these people are saying the truth about the interference? But it wasn't until 2019 and 2020 where I really started diving deep, like taking such a deep dive that I was like, whoa, something is going on here. And the more books I've been reading about schizophrenia, the more books that I've been reading about transpersonal therapy and what some of the psychiatrists have done with ET interference and dark force entities interference, is that they found that a lot of those people that had mental disorders, like schizophrenia in particularly, or very heavy clinical depression, is that they were able to feel all the realities that a lot of the psychiatrists didn't know about, like John Mack, Edith Fiores, William Baldwin, and many others, to be honest. There is pretty good, let me see if I can, there is a pretty good research that was done back in 2021 by Brink in the Journal of International Body Psychiatric Journal. What was the name of that? I'm looking for it. I think I wrote it somewhere, but I cannot see it right now. If I find it, I'll put a link to it. They were doing a lot of work to understand what happens to those people that have abilities like mediumship and so on, and can they really do channeling? Can they really, and what happens to the body when they're doing that? So I was just doing a lot of research on that from a medical point of view, because I love putting the two and two together to understand better what is happening to this body, this material, because I have a pretty good understanding of what happens in the spiritual aspect of life, but to this body, what happens to this body, which is why I started going through some of that research. And that one, if you go and search International Body Psychotherapy Journal from 2021 and type spirit releasement and soul retrieval, you might be able to find it. If I find the link, the direct link, I'll put it in the comments in the description here. But the reason why I find all of this fascinating is because the people that have schizophrenia, a lot of the time the issues start when they might even do some type of drug or sacred plant medicine, and then boom, everything kind of opens up. There is research that indicates that a lot of the people that start having issues with schizophrenia is after their 20s. So normally after their 20s is when people start experimenting with some of these things. And I know I had a couple of family members, one that died a few years ago, and he had developed schizophrenia in his late 30s. And he was like an uncle to me. I really did love him very dearly because I grew up seeing him. He was a cousin, but he was like an uncle because he was older than me. And he was always around, like that older male energy, just being protected and having fun at the same time, and all of that, the river. And it was a beautiful relationship until I moved to the US, and then things, we didn't stay as close as before. But in his after his 30s, closer to his 40s, he developed schizophrenia, very heavy schizophrenia. And he will talk about things that didn't make sense to people here, like things that had beings that were ugly looking, that had really crazy technology. Anyways, and the more that you go through the research to see what some of the psychiatrists are saying that these people report when they have schizophrenia, is that they can sense that they're being monitored, that there is always someone there, that maybe there is a camera, that there are people just feeling like there is someone there. And some of these people might report seeing monsters and things that are not normal human beings. So I want, if anything, this is not me saying that I know everything about schizophrenia, because I do not. There is a lot of things. I wish I remember the name of that book, but it's a very thick book that talks about schizophrenia and the different vitamins that people should be doing and so on to feel better, to connect and allow the brain to connect to the other parts of the brain and so on. And I'm not saying that I know any of that. I'm talking to you from someone that has direct experience with people in their families that have schizophrenia. And when I started going into the research, I saw parts that made me contemplate, these people that are getting better after they have more resources and integration. And also, I was talking to a shaman. He travels around the country. He's from the Shipido tribe, and he travels around the country. And we were talking about schizophrenia. And he said, with ayahuasca, we work with a lot of people that have schizophrenia to help them relieve some of those issues. And he also said that a lot of those people are just tapping into other planes of existence that is not normal for them to handle that much. It's almost like, imagine that someone has a lot of lightness in them to the point where they can naturally just focus and be able to walk through different planes of existence, different dimensions, realms. It can be so crazy to us to be able to see and put that together, especially when you're human and you're trying to be human and you're trying to be normal, because it's not okay not to be normal, right? There are consequences for being different. That's what we have learned through the history of this planet. So when someone is being flooded with all of this new information and abilities, that sometimes activate out of nowhere for some people, especially when you start going through, talking to a lot of people that are going through spiritual awakening, you're going to hear stories that are very similar to what happened to someone that develops schizophrenia, except that they have more resources and more assistance to help them through that point. There are a lot of clients that I see that hear voices, that can sense things, and it can be so overwhelming that if they don't really work on themselves, they can end up going crazy, because it's like, what do I do with all of this that I'm feeling, with all of this knowledge that I'm experiencing? And it can feel like a major chaotic confusion inside your brain, so that eventually people do lose it if they don't take care of themselves. So for those people that are, and some of the research also indicates that once people start treatment with some therapists that have, and I'm not saying that I'm qualified to do that, so don't think that I'm trying to get you to send me people, because I'm not qualified. You have to see us as psychiatrists that have also transpersonal, which is what I do, the transpersonal healing, that has the transpersonal healing, so that they can combine what is happening in those medical doctor's appointment with the psychiatrist, psychologist, so that you have a team that can help you decipher what's here. It's not just about getting the medicine. The medicine is going to help the person stabilize themselves so that they don't go too crazy, right? Like it can feel so much that they need to calm back down their body. So the medicine helps to calm the body. But then we also need the other side, the transpersonal healing, that the psychologist or someone with transpersonal hypnotherapy can help the person. And there are a lot of psychologists and psychiatrists that have this type of additional training. So if you go to the wellnessinstitute.org and you search for a psychiatrist near you, all of those people that are in the wellnessinstitute.org are trained in transpersonal hypnotherapy. So you can find someone that has the credential and that has the wellness background, or also someone that has IFS. They are, or even EMDR not so much, but if you have someone that is a psychiatrist or psychologist that has the background in transpersonal healing therapy, you're going to have someone that has more of an understanding of beyond this round, beyond the physical, what happens to the mind beyond the physical. And you need some of that. You need a lot of that, because you're trying to make sense. Those people need to make sense of the gibberish that is there, that they think that is gibberish, but it can be other realities, it can be other planes of existence. So my goal today is for you to be patient, be compassionate, know that these people are not broken. These people have abilities. A lot of them, if they're too far gone, it's because they didn't have the resources to integrate. But if they have medication, once they go to the integration process of doing healing therapy, the healing sessions with transpersonal therapists, they're going to be able to have more resources so that they can stay stable longer and eventually start getting out. There, Edith Fiores, I think she quoted, I think it was 70% of her people that were schizophrenic better. Don't quote me on that number because it's been a long time since I read that book. But about 70% or so of her clients reported a lot of relief after the transpersonal therapy that she was doing with them. No psychiatry work, but transpersonal therapy. So I think we need to be compassionate. We need to know that, we also have a lot of fears through epigenetics. I don't know what's going on with my eyes. Through epigenetics, we know scientifically has been proven that the genes are recording trauma information that is traumatic, passed down from the genes to the next genes. So basically, we have ancestral trauma that has been proven scientifically that is passed down to us. So imagine those people that had to experience so much. I mean, all of our ancestors, no matter where we come from, these people had to experience a lot of separation, a lot of fighting, a lot of hatred, a lot of unworthiness. I mean, no matter which side you're on, you still, even if you're the abuser or the abused, there is still something that is separating you from who you're supposed to be. So even when we are the abuser, we're still truly not okay with us because we are meant to be whole, to be connected. So when we are abusing someone, even when we don't realize that we're doing harm, our spirit knows that we're doing harm. So no matter what side we come from, our ancestors have experienced so much pain and destruction and hatred that when that is passed down to us, something small and sometimes big can really open those wounds to the next level. And we can start experiencing those past lives. And we might think that we're seeing other realities, and we're just really seeing our past lives or the past life of our ancestors. So anyways, I just really feel like sometimes we, in the dream regression training, I made a comment about schizophrenia and how I think those people are very gifted. And I don't think I went into explaining why this is the case, why I believe that's the case, because I am being honest about this. And I just don't think a lot of people have that perspective when their loved ones or their friends are telling them something and they finally open up. When we respond in a way that is like, are you crazy? Why will you even think that? We're not helping the situation. We are making it worse because now they don't really have someone that they can trust to open up and say what they need to say. So anyways, I'm going to leave it here. I'll see you guys in the next one, hopefully, because I've been having a lot of issues trying to figure out, like, can I really talk about this? I don't want to become a virus where, the reason why some people, I don't know. I just feel like sometimes I have to be careful what and how I share, because I don't want you to be afraid with some of the things that I share, because that's the last thing that I want. I want you to be self-empowered, but I don't want anything that I share with you to become a virus. And a virus, I mean fearful, like where you become afraid or you feel like, I don't know. I'm going to leave it here. I'm all over the place. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.